Okay, so we're ready to take the tube out. First of all, we take the decorative front cover off, unplug it from here, take the screws out and remove it. You might have a telescope plate that sits on here. Just undo the large Allen cap head screws that hold it on and just take it off. And then what we need to do is to remove this plate. And first thing we'll do is release the leaf springs here and here. Put your Allen driver in. If you come to the side here, just undo the screw, pull away, and the same on this side here. Release it completely, and then you can start to remove the spring-loaded tension screws. At this point, hold the optic plate with your left hand, or right hand if you're left-handed. Now unscrew these until you can remove them. And then take the weight of the plate, holding it firmly, and then just gradually pull it to one side. You can disconnect this cable if you want, or you can just leave it and push it to one side. Before removing the tube, you have to make sure you disconnect some of the wiring that stays in place. One is the reservoir. If you unplug it, like so, and you should be able to take it off by hand because you're going to need to use this for the new system. Just pull it off. It's a three-part system. This is the nut, this is the magnet, and this just keeps it centrally aligned. That's to one side, and then you need to disconnect the sacrificial anode, and you need to pull those connectors apart. Stop.
As you remove the plate, the two spacers may fall off. So if you don't see them on there, you have to search around inside the head. They might be up underneath in here, but you have to have those for later.
The plasma tube, we need to undo the cathode wires. There's a couple of washers as well. And then you need to pull the main wires off, and you want to put them really out the way, like so, and lift the plasma tube cathode wires off. And then using the long wrench, screw there, screw there, and you remove that. At this point, we would probably want to drain the water out of the system, so you need to undo the umbilical plug from the back of the power supply, disconnect the water, make sure the water from the hoses doesn't go onto the umbilical plug. Okay? So it's time to disconnect the water hose here. If you undo it there, and you undo it there as well. At this point you might actually see bubbles of air floating back into here. Don't panic about it. It'll be shooting water out into the bucket you've got at the other end where the hoses are. And you should be able to rotate that. It should be loose enough. Before we remove the plasma tube, we need to make sure the bore straighteners are cleared out the way so they don't obstruct the path of the plasma tube coming out. It's a standard Allen key. And the top screw. Just unscrew it until you're about 1/4 of an inch out, and that's plenty of clearance. And the same on the side. 1/4 of an inch that way. The same with the front one here. This one here. And you'll also find there are 2 holes in the back of the resonator here and here. That gives you access to the side screws. And bring those out slightly as well. And there is another vertical adjuster. It's a smaller size Allen key. And the adjuster is here. And you need to just unscrew this until it's almost coming out, and then just drop it in a bit. this one here, unscrew it all the way till it's almost coming out, just drop it back again. Okay, now we need to release the main cathode bell using the long Allen driver. We'll reach in there and locate the two.
Lift up the wires. There you go, you can see them there.
We're going to locate the two screws at the base here, which hold the carrier to the magnet. Okay, we'll just pull them out that way.
You need to use a long tool. It says in the manual what tool this is. It's about 8 inches long, and I think it's what, 9/64? So.
There may be a protective cover, plastic cover over the top of the anode. Undo the two screws that will be there, and they have to be plastic screws. Remove that, and then remove the anode block itself. Lift up and take it off. Now you're ready to pull the plasma tube out. So just lift up very gently on here. Just lift it up, and that should allow the rest of the water that's in the system to drain out. Although you're not going to be able to completely get the water out. Only a job done by one person, but I think it's safer if we have two people working on it. So the second person will just be holding the bellows, and just lifting it up very slightly, not touching the glass, but just lifting it up like that. And the guy at the other end, the cathode end, is going to be doing this. Basically, he's going to be trying to move the spouts apart, and the best way to do it is to get your thumb against it and just gradually wiggle on the hose and keep pushing with your thumb. The guy at the anode end is going to make sure it doesn't jam all of a sudden. Just gradually move it. Make sure you don't knock this part into the magnet assembly. And you should be off now. So it's disconnected.
Go.
So at this point we're ready to remove it. I'm just going to move the laser or the plasma tube just a bit further down, like so. So I haven't got the Brewster window inside the magnet yet. What I'm going to do at this end is to put my hand underneath the laser, the back, and here to the front, and I'm just going to push it up. And lifting it very gently in the up position, and then sliding it backwards. If you don't lift the plasma tube up, you can get caught on the resonator trying to get out. So you have to lift it up.
Don't bend the tube.
Don't bend the tube.
Where it goes through the metal there.
Okay. Once you've got to this stage where the phenolic ring is coming out, you can take your hand off and relax a bit, and grab hold of it again underneath, and keep some pressure, upward pressure in the plasma tube. Now be very careful because we're coming out, and you don't want the thing to shoot up in the air. So just gentle pressure, just lifting it up until you see it coming out, and then you just bring it out like so. And there's your plasma tube.
While you're pulling the tube out, if the laser doesn't pass this ridge here, because you can't get it over, you'll need to raise the magnet up with the two adjusters. There and there. And just raise it up 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch is usually sufficient.
Okay. Okay, now from what Phil was saying, you have some problems with the wavelength jumping around, and it's probably to do with one of these rods being broken. So you just grab hold of it gently, just pull it out, That's what the quartz resonator rod looks like. It should have a nice tight-fitting end cap that end and that end. And it has a corresponding one on the other side